Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now I received a package in the mail a year and a month ago. I've been sitting on this box for well over a year, and that's because I am completely unmotivated for this review. The minute I got this product, I took it out of the box, I was real excited, and when I saw what it was, I was like, no, not for me. Put it right back in the box, slid this into storage, and I've done absolutely nothing with this since that point. But at this point, I need to do something about it. I can't just sit on this thing forever. I have to put this to use in some way, shape, or form, and I'm going to show it to you today anyway. And the product that I'm going to show you, which you already probably know based on the title of the video, is the Cannae Legion Elite Day Pack. So if you'd like to see more about this pack, or wonder why it is that it's not exactly for me, stay tuned. Alright, so what is it for me about this pack that just doesn't work? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Bottom line is, for me, it's just another tactical bag. I mean, there's nothing, in my opinion, that really makes this an elite bag. I mean, it's called the Legion Elite. I mean, there's nothing in my mind that really tells me that this has any features above and beyond other bags. I've had other similar bags that I've enjoyed greatly, that have had some excellent features, and just looking at this, I'm like, there's nothing really so special about it. So why are you calling it elite? Honestly, I know that's kind of a funny thing, and it's like, why are you picking on the name? But it's proclaimed to be an elite and pro bag, and for me, it's just not there. I've seen other bags with better quality. I've worn bags that are more comfortable. I've had bags that have much more refined features. So for me, overall, I just don't see it. Are there some features in this bag that are excellent? Of course there are. Is the overall comfort there? I don't know. Haven't really worn it, so I can't really speak to that. I can tell you that there are some things that at an initial glimpse, I definitely do like. I like the idea that you have some flexibility in this front compartment here. It has the ability to unclip it, which is nice, and kind of pull out of the way. It has some MOLLE in here that allows you to put your own personalized pouches. That's great. It has some Velcro in here that allows you to put your own pouches. That's great. But in practice, that's not really something that I do personally. So for me, and in my intended purposes, it does not serve that great of a purpose. About all that I would do is potentially stuff a jacket or something inside that pouch. Now the feature that for me is probably the best feature on this bag, to be honest with you, is the back panel. I really do like the back panel. I like how it's constructed. I like the feel. It seems to be almost like, call it a neoprene. And, you know, it has some nice air channels in here and looks like it would do a pretty decent job at being ventilated and keeping you dry. So overall, I do actually like the shape of the back panel, but at the same time, I have had other bags with a significantly better design, better airflow, more comfort, and so for me, it's still kind of like, it's not elite, so I'm kind of holding that against it. Now furthermore, getting into the shoulder harness and almost like this yoke system, these straps are pretty good. And the biggest thing that I do like, actually two features on the straps that I do like. First of all, you have almost an infinitely adjustable sternum strap. I do like that feature. I think it's very helpful. It's similar to a backpacking backpack. A lot of them have this type of mechanism here, sort of like an Osprey backpack or something like that. So I do like it where you can really tailor fit this to your needs. Not like some of the other backpacks that either have single points of location with clips or maybe a strap that goes around the entire shoulder strap and you have to kind of locate where you put that. So a little less adjustability on those other bags, where this one is infinitely adjustable, and I do like that feature. The other feature that I do like is the fact that these shoulder straps have a clip on the bottom. Now sometimes what I found is every now and then I will actually cross my shoulder strap over to make almost a sling bag. Sometimes it's just a matter of convenience, and I kind of like this feature. However, with that said, it's still not all that different from many other tactical bags. Most of them actually do have this feature, so at that point, what's making this elite? Now overall, this does appear to have decent padding and a nice contour, so the shoulder straps at least have a reasonably comfortable feel, so I can't hold that against the bag. It's very similar to a lot of other tactical bags, so in that regard, it actually works pretty well. Now moving on to the hip belt, this does have a decent hip belt. I always like my backpacks to have a hip belt, so I'm glad that it's here. It doesn't bother me that it's not removable. I don't really care about that. In fact, if I'm not going to use it on a regular basis, I'll pretty much just clip the two halves together and pull it tight and let it kind of ride behind my back. So not a big deal there. Overall, ample, does the job. Reasonably mild padding, so it's not going to get in the way. It's not going to be bulky. And for the types of things that I personally would be using this bag for, it's just about right. Now, one of the general things about this bag that you either like or you don't. And for me, I could kind of go either way, but it's a little bit of a miss for this bag, which is a lot of features are sort of asymmetrical. And what I mean by that, first off, you do have an exterior pouch on the side of the bag, but only on one side of the bag. It's not on this side, it's only on this side. Now, on this side of the bag, you do have kind of like a sleeve, and that's cool, but really, it's only on this side of the bag and not on this side of the bag. And it's a little bit tight for water bottles. You could fit a thin canteen in here. It's actually just about perfect for maybe like a hatchet, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm basically going to be using this bag for outdoor applications of some sort. So for me, it would be outdoor and wilderness gear, and maybe that's the reason why as a tactical bag this isn't really going to work for me, and that's fine. And I'm showing this to my viewers because a lot of my viewers are outdoor guys and would be putting outdoor gear in this bag. So anyway, with that said, the sleeve is cool, but it's just a little bit tight. And again, I think there could be certainly some pouches on the outside of this with the sleeve behind it, which would be kind of neat. I tend to like things that are a little more symmetrical, so you have a little more ability to balance the bag. Again, some more asymmetrical features. There are clips that are located only on one side of the bag and not on both, so it's a little bit limiting. Also, on the shoulder straps, in a similar regard, a single clip on one shoulder but not on the other. I mean, this isn't like earth-shattering stuff, but it's just, I guess, my personal preference. And, that's why I'm looking at it with what's going to work for me. And, I'm just pointing things out so that if you're serious about looking at this bag, maybe these things need to be pointed out for you as well. Now, some other features that for me are kind of like, I could go either way with it, is this front pocket. I mean, small, thin, holds the bare essentials, but again, it's just a plain pocket. Nothing about this, in my opinion, makes it elite. There's really dozens of other bags that are exactly the same, so really no features yet that I see that puts this above and beyond any other bags. Certainly not to the point where you call it pro, and definitely not to the point where you call it elite. Now, another feature that it's, again, just for me, and a lot of you probably do like this feature, and I don't blame you for it, but the felt-lined pocket in the front of the bag, good for sunglasses. I personally don't put my sunglasses in here. I like to put my sunglasses in a case, and in that regard, doesn't matter whether or not the pocket's fleece-lined. So that's just a personal preference thing. I don't blame you guys if you like that. I think it's reasonably located on the bag, kind of in the front here where it has a little bit of additional protection because of this front pouch and flap. So, in that regard, it does function very well in terms of your ability to put sunglasses in here and actually protect them. Now, I mentioned the side pocket real briefly, and again, this is another point where I just kind of go, I mean, I don't care for it. It's just a really plain pocket with two little cheap pieces of shock cord in there. I mean, I guess you could say, well, what else is it supposed to be? I don't know. But looking at it here, I mean, I guess it gives you the ability to be a little creative with what you put in there. If you want to add your own, call it organizer, or put your own pouch in here, or miscellaneous items, yeah, sure, fine. I just, again, am going to repeat myself. I don't see this to be elite. I don't see it differentiating itself from any other tactical bag out there. Which brings me to my next subject, and that is the main compartment of the bag, which we'll open up here, and I guess this isn't too bad. I don't know. I'm a little bit torn here because I do like the overall functionality and ease of access to a clamshell design. So you do get that. It's not striking to me. You don't look inside this bag and go, oh, wow, cool. I mean, I don't know. Are you supposed to? Maybe. I don't know. There is some decent functionality built into the outer pocket and flap here. I mean, you have a nice little pocket. You do have some pockets here, so a zippered pocket and then some sleeves. I always struggle a little bit with this type of sleeve when there is no Velcro and it is on the outer flap, because I find the ability to accidentally dump your stuff out is actually kind of a high tendency. And again, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm using my bag like an idiot and, I'm not being careful and I'm going like this and, my stuff's falling out. I just have found that other designs work better. One of my examples is that I really like VanQuest gear. And part of the reason why is they do a great job of utilizing the outer flaps on their bags. But when they do that, there's always a little piece of Velcro that holds this thing together. And so, that is all it takes. Really, all it needs to make sure that your contents won't fall out. And the linings are usually better, and the overall layout and functionality is always a little bit better. So, again, for me, I just don't see what is making this bag any better than any other tactical bag, and it just kind of doesn't get me too excited. Now, another feature that I could either take or leave, I could go either way, it doesn't bother me either way, is that there are 2 straps on the inside of the bag to help cinch down your gear. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in practice, in reality, I'm not going to use that. I don't really know what the purpose would be. And, I mean, is it that because it's a clamshell design, you're kind of really trying to hold everything down, but then that to me would be counterintuitive because you didn't do anything to address it on this side. And, yeah, so what? It's got a padded sleeve. I mean, whoop-de-doo. It's a tactical bag. Are you going to use this as like a work bag or an EDC or a school bag or something like that? I mean, could you slide your laptop in here? Sure. But then at the same time, the rest of the functionality is kind of weird for a school bag or an EDC. So I'm like, I don't see how it applies. And I don't know. I get a little bit lost here in the design. I get a little bit lost here on the overall intent on who's going to use this and why they're going to use it. Maybe that's because I'm not a tactical guy. I'm not really in a tactical application or a need for a true tactical bag. So if I'm missing the mark there, I totally understand and I admit that, but for my intents and purposes, I just don't see it. I don't see the need. It's a little bit strange. And then, simple things like, this here is felt and then this is not. Well, I'll tell you, I actually had a creative idea that I really thought this could be cool for when I got it and said, well, let me get creative. Let me see how I could use this. I thought this would make an interesting little camera bag for me. So I thought I had all these dividers that I could build out the inside of this and use it for my camera gear. But then I realized the backside has no felt. I can't use Velcro. There's no real good functionality on the inside of this. So it leaves me a little bit lacking, and I'm like, man, there could have been pockets here that you could have utilized, or if this was Velcro, that would have been cool. I mean, you could probably use Velcro and stick it to this. It probably does stick. I haven't tried. But I don't know. Just a little bit of functionality here, and it would have been a little bit better. And for me, it's just not quite working. And now again, on the back of the bag, behind the back panel, you do have this open area where it does look like this is the same felt as the inside, and I know this is intended for concealed carry, so at this point I'm led to believe that this would be a suitable back to stick Velcro to. So you probably could on the inside of the bag also add some Velcro pouches, so if that's an intended purpose, actually I take that back. So maybe you do have the ability to attach some of your own personalized pouches on the inside of the bag, so that definitely helps the functionality. But here, for me, again, I mean, what would I do with it? I'm not going to be carrying concealed. I could potentially put my laptop back here if I wanted. Maybe I could carry a hydration bladder, which would work. But I don't often carry a hydration bladder in a bag of this size. I typically carry water bottles, and then the water bottle carry situation here is difficult, if not non-existent. And the other thing is, with a hydration bladder, it's going to push and bulge out the back, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't personally carry hydration bladders up against my back. I don't see the need for it. This bag just simply doesn't work for me. And then the other piece of this is, I don't know, just the zippers don't feel quite as nice as some of the other brands. They're just a little bit on the chintzy side. They might be a tad undersized, and I think that's the reason why they feel cheap. Maybe it's less about them actually being cheap and more about them being undersized, but I don't know. I'm just not overly impressed. I'm not jumping up and down thinking this is the bag for me. And if anything else, the fact that it took me over a year to review it and finally pull it out is definitely an indication. Now there's a couple other decent features that I just have to wrap up this conversation with. First is a rubberized bottom of the bag. I actually do like that feature. I think it's helpful. It's nice to have that durability, and definitely if you're going to be using a bag in the outdoor application, to be able to put it down on the moist or damp ground and not get the contents of your bag wet. But at the same time, there is a drainage hole right in the middle of it, and it's like, well, now the water's going to go back in. So I'm like, that is totally counterintuitive. I don't understand it. I actually don't always understand the need for these drainage holes in all these bags. I'm like, why? What purpose? Like, have you ever filled your bag with water? I haven't. Again, maybe it's just me, but I've never filled my bag with water to the point where I needed to drain it out. A pouch on the outside? Maybe. I've had water bottles leak. It's rained on me. But the inside of my bag? I got bigger problems than trying to drain out my bag if there's water filling it. So, I don't know. The straps on the bottom are cool. I always like having straps on the bottom of my bag, no matter what, so that you could attach additional gear. So they got that right. The compression straps on the outside of the bag, they got that right. Some of the MOLLE locations, they got that right. But overall, I'm just simply not impressed. And again, I have had plenty of other tactical bags. For example, a couple of 511 bags. In this case, I have my Direct Action Dragon Egg. This, to me, is a bag that works. It has interesting functionality. It has nice design. It has excellent features. All of the components are high quality. It differentiates itself from other bags because of some of the features. And in that regard, I just am kind of more excited for this. I am more drawn to it. I think they did a great job on the details. And actually, in a lot of ways, this bag did sort of set the stage for other bags of its kind. So, I give the credit when it's due. I give the credit to Direct Action for, thinking outside of the box a little bit and trying to come up with a little bit of innovation and separate themselves and really push things a little bit further in a different direction. Innovations in the back panel design, innovations where they were one of the first companies that I knew about creating the laser cut MOLLE. I mean, this is becoming a lot more commonplace this day, but they were really, in my opinion, one of the first to do it. The overall components inside the pouches and how it's laid out, and again, just that little bit of Velcro there to help you keep your gear tucked away and inside. This bag is not a clamshell design, but I don't hold that against it. It works perfectly well for me. Extremely comfortable, nice ergonomics, and overall just works for me. So I tend to gravitate towards this bag much more than the Cannae Legion Elite. So alright guys, there you have it. a real quick look at a backpack that has totally not met my expectations. You know, for me, this is actually not the normal video. Generally, I review gear that I'm very happy with, that I really like, and I naturally gravitate towards. But hey, you know what? Sometimes you gotta show the good with the bad, and in this case, I'm sorry, but for me, this bag just did not make the cut. So with that said, I will put it right back where it came from, and off to a new home. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like, or didn't like, what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like, or didn't like, what you saw, please like, or don't like, share and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.